There. It's March the 6th, and we're continuing our journey through the Torah in the book of Numbers, in Hebrew Bamidbar, because they're in the desert. Bamidbar means in the desert in Hebrew. And we come here to chapters 6 and 7. Chapter 6 is largely taken up with the regulations of the vows of the Nazirite. Now, Nazirite vow was a special vow taken by man for a special purpose, something he wanted to dedicate to God, to give something to God as a sign of his offering, his dedication, his holiness. And so it entailed not shaving the head, not cutting hair at all. It also entailed staying away from any form of produce that came from the vine. Wine, the fruit of the vine, even grape pips are not allowed. It also meant steering clear of any dead bodies, including of his own close family, because for this period the Nazirite was considered to be completely undiluted, undefiled, completely separated to God. And at the end of that period, he would cut his hair and he would bring offerings, and that would be the sign of the end of his vow. It's a little bit like Samson, the judge, later on, who is under a similar vow. He doesn't cut his hair, and from that it's a sign of his separation to God. Then at the end of chapter 6 comes the blessing. Right at the end of chapter 6, the blessing that is given to Aaron and his sons, the priests, to bless the people of Israel with. I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. Chapter 7 is an amazing chapter. It's a long chapter. It's a chapter that is made up of certain parts. The first part of it is the bringing of wagons of offerings for the priesthood to support them in their ministry from the different tribes of Israel. They bring 12 wagons, and they bring these wagons and they're divided up between the priests. Although interesting, the Kohathites don't receive anything of it because they're ones who carry the very holy things, and for some reason they don't get a share in it. But then there's a 12-day feast, a 12-day celebration for the Hanukkah, which means the dedication. It's where the Hebrew word where the Jewish festival comes from, around the winter festival, Hanukkah. It means dedication. And this Hanukkah, this dedication, is the dedication of the altar of burnt offering. And so each day for 12 days, the tribes bring offerings to the Lord, and they all bring the same. So actually, number 7 is a very long chapter because it repeats the offerings that each of the tribes brought on each of the 12 days. It seems quite repetitive, but actually it's because everyone needs to have their record. Everyone needs to be mentioned. It's important that all of the tribes have a mention in this very important process of the dedication of the altar. And so they're bringing silverware, they're bringing gold spoons, they're bringing offerings of different animals to prepare, and they're bringing incense, and they each bring the same offering on the successive 12 days, and that constitutes the dedication of the altar, the Hanukkah Mizbeach, the dedication of the altar that is taking place. So it's a fascinating insight into how things are set up. And it's a wonderful example of the fact that here is God calling all his people to be involved, not just the priests, but all the people, and they're represented by their leaders, the Sarim, the leaders or princes of each of the tribes. Just going back then to chapter 6, and right at the end, that blessing that is given to Aaron and his sons to bless the people with is a very beautiful blessing. It's one that we all know very well. The Lord bless you, the Lord keep you, the Lord make his face shine on you, may the Lord be gracious and favorable to you, may the Lord turn his face towards you and bring you shalom, that wholeness, peace, that full weight of well-being which is promised by God. Traditionally, when priests say this blessing, they make a particular sign as they raise their hands, and the sign they make is like that. And that sign actually represents the Hebrew letter Shin, Sh. Shin stands for Shaddai, the El Shaddai, the name by which Abraham knew God. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob knew God. And so when priests blessed the people, they would lift their hands in the sign of the Shin to say this blessing or to chant this blessing over the people. I'd like just to close this video by singing that blessing for you in Hebrew and over you today. It's one of the things to note about the blessing is that twice it speaks about the face of the Lord, the face shining and the face turning. And there's something about the face of God which is also his presence. So as I sing this and end this video with this, may you receive today the presence of God by his face being close to you. Yivarechacha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. Have a very good March the 6th.